They told me they were going to try me as an adult for 5 felonies and give me 25 to life. And I was terrified. I was like, oh, man, I'm a 16-year-old kid. I ran. I didn't know what else to do. I was scared.
And where did you go?
To Canada. So I said, let me go to Mexico on vacation. I was offered a job smuggling aliens across the border. I got caught with 17 undocumented illegal aliens when it's 2 to 10 years per person. That's what they tell me I couldn't have self-defense because I shot him from behind.
You managed to escape?
Yes.
How can you even?
Everybody's baffled how I did it. In 2018, I asked him to forgive me.
Some people say that life imprisonment is worse than death row. Do you think it's true? Hi everyone, welcome to this new episode of Death Row Stories. I'm heading right now to the Polinsky unit in Livingston, Texas. The Texas Death Row for Men is located in this unit. I'm going to meet Charles Sampson. He's 55 years old. He's been 27 years in prison and most of the time on death row. Why? Because in 1998, he shot and killed a man called Darren Kane, and he also shot a woman named Denise Hayslip, and she died a week later in the hospital. Before we arrive on site, I wanted to take a moment to think about the victims and their loved ones. Charles regrets everything he did, and this interview is not meant to find excuses for him. But I believe that the Charles that I will meet today is not the same Charles that 27 years ago. What I would like to do is know more about his life before he got in prison. It's the first time I meet him. I can tell you that from Canada to Mexico, from Texas to Colorado or Los Angeles, he's had an incredible life and not for the better. It seems that he's always been trying to run away. Let's go and try to understand how he ended up where he is today.
He ran away all his life and escaped from death row, chasing freedom in the shadows where the cold winds blow. Haunted by the past, but the past won't let go. Just a man and a story that the world should know.
Hi, Charles.
Hello.
It's nice to meet you. I'm very impressed to be here and to meet you in this unit where Texas Death Row is. Thank you for sharing your story with me with Death Row Stories. So you were born in 1970 in Houston. You grew up in Houston, San Antonio, also in Colorado. You don't come from a poor family. Tell us about your parents and how you ended up in jail for the first time at a pretty young age.
I have a good family. I've never wanted for anything. They're still married. They're still in my life. I think that when I was 12 years old in summer of 82, I started doing drugs. My older brother turned me on to drugs. And that's when my life started to spiral out of control. By the end of that summer, I was doing hard drugs. I started out smoking marijuana, hash, drinking alcohol, and then probably by the end of the summer, I think I was doing acid, LSD, and mushrooms. And I had just turned 12 years old. And it has adverse effects on the developing brain. And being that we lived outside the suburbs on the edge of the country.
Where were you at that time?
Colorado. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we lived out past Parker, Colorado. And we lived way out on the edge of the suburbs from where our neighborhood was. It was nothing but country and ranches after it. So there wasn't a whole lot to do. And there wasn't many ways for a 12-year-old kid to make any money to support a drug habit. So I got caught up with my brother's older friends and started thieving, stealing things. First it was out of cars, RVs, boats, and then I graduated to houses by age 13, 14. Yeah, to feed my drug habit.
What were your parents doing?
Dad was working. My mom was a housewife. She took care of the kids. And, we we ran the streets at night. We would sneak out at night and do these things 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. So they didn't know what was going on.
Your father was an engineer, right?
He sold computers.
Mm-hmm.
He was in computer sales. From the time he left NASA in 72, he went to work in the private sector and working computers. He was a computer salesman until he retired, I think in 95, 96, and around there.
So at that time, you had a very beautiful house
Yeah.
in the nice suburbs.
I didn't want for anything. We were well cared for. Yeah, I had a really blessed life. And just the drugs and my drug addiction, my alcoholism, I never got any help for it.
There's a turning point in 1985. You're 16 and you steal a suitcase with secret documents inside. You steal it from a car in Colorado still. Tell us how this became a turning point in your life.
Yeah, we were stealing stuff out of cars and late at night. And I stole a briefcase from a United States Secret Service agent named James Klein. I had his credentials, his ID, his government credit cards, his pistol, his walkie-talkies, and a bunch of top secret files that said confidential top secret on them.
He had left it in his car.
Yeah, he left it in his car unlocked in his driveway out in the suburbs, out in the country. And just dumb luck. I got the wrong car. Yeah.
Because everything's going to change.
The briefcase was locked. So I would have left it there if I had seen what it was, but it was locked. So we're shaking it. Oh, we got something. So we took it with us. And we got back to our little thieves' lair, and we're dividing up the loot. We busted it open with a screwdriver, and everybody's like, "Hey, that's yours. Get it out of here." And like, we don't want that. So we went and we burned all the files and burned the walkie-talkies and the government credit cards, the ID and everything. And we threw the gun in the reservoir to get rid of it. But one of the guys that I was in trouble with in this event, he got in trouble later. And he said, "Hey, I got some information for y'all." And he cut himself a deal. They sent Navy SEAL divers out to Cherry Creek Reservoir to retrieve the gun. And they found it. It hadn't been used in any crimes or anything. I had been shooting guns since I was 11 years old, 10 years old. Dad taught us how to hunt and everything. So we just wanted to get rid of it. We were terrified of what would happen to us,
But the police really wanted to know who stole this suitcase, right?
So there was a big reward in the newspaper, and that was the other incentive that the other kid had to make a deal. I believe they gave him the reward money too.
They knew it was you because of that. And what did they tell you?
I had been on probation. I was on 2 sentences, concurrent probation, for breaking into houses and somebody's big sailboat, RV, cars. And they told me, "Oh, there's no 3rd sentence of probation for you. You're going to prison this time." I'm like, "What?" But I didn't do it by myself. It wasn't just me. I'm like, "Well, we got you, and you're the guy. Everybody else cooperated, and there's no deal for you." I said, "Oh, man." So it was just unfortunate.
You got scared at this point.
I ran.
You were scared to go in prison, or you were scared because you were going to have a long time in prison, according to you?
I was scared because they told me in 1986 in Colorado, they told me they were going to try me as an adult for 5 felonies and give me 25 to life. And I was terrified. I was like, "Oh, man, I'm a 16-year-old kid. I don't get to finish high school. I don't get to go to prom. I don't get to go to college. I made a mistake. I understand I made a couple of mistakes, and I learned my lesson now." And then they said, "Well, we don't think you've learned your lesson. You keep doing this." I said, "No, I have a problem." I told them I have a problem. But back in the 80s, there wasn't a lot of understanding about rehabilitation, drug addiction, and therapy. They would just lock you up and throw away the key. So they said, "Well, you might be able to do some counseling when you're in prison." I'm like, "Prison? I don't want to go to prison." So I ran like a rabbit.
So tell us about that. So where did you run?
We had been to Disneyland on vacation, and I met a young lady that was 17, and she was from Victoria, British Columbia in Canada. And I got her address and information so we could keep in touch. We spent the 4 days we spent at Disneyland. my parents let me spend it with her, and her parents let her spend it with me. So we were, just met, and we're running around Disneyland together. And, we fell in love, of course, puppy love, I guess, 16. So we had a good time together. We got each other's information, said, let's stay in touch. Well, when I got home from vacation, the court papers were in the mailbox telling me about probation revoked, report to the jail. I'm like, oh my goodness. So when I went and found out what it was, they told me, we're going to try and send you away forever. And so they let me go home eventually after they kept me for like a whole day for questioning. They let me go home, and it wasn't even a week or so later, I took off. I said, man, I don't think I'm going to be able to deal with this one. So I ran. I didn't know what else to do. I was scared.
And where did you go?
To Canada. I spent the summer in Victoria, British Columbia. It was beautiful. It's like the Florida of Canada. It's a remarkable place.
So you're 16, and did you tell your parents you were leaving?
No, they didn't know where I was until I got arrested up there for drunk and fighting with a Native American Eskimo Indian, which they're Canadian nationals, and they have more rights in Canada than the Native Americans in America ever dreamt of having. Yeah, so I went to jail, and the Indian didn't. And that's what amazed me. The RCMP, like Rocky and Bullwinkle, he came riding up on a horse and everything, and he's like, hey, you're going to jail, hey? I'm like, what did I do? He swung on me. I said, no, he's Canadian national. So, okay.
But at that time, just to be clear, you were staying with the parents of your girlfriend, right?
I was working as a painter. I was caulking, sanding, puttying, and painting, making $5 an hour cash under the table.
Oh, you were working over there.
I was working.
And how long did you stay before that fight?
3 months, 4 months, I believe. 3 or 4 months, something like that.
What you wanted to do in Canada is start a new life.
Yeah.
Can we say that?
Starting over, yeah.
And were you still on drugs at that time?
Yeah, I was. They smoke a lot of hash in Canada too, apparently. So I was smoking and drinking only, and partying, hanging out with girlfriend and her friends, and some guys that I knew. One of the guys that I knew from painting at the painting job was in a rock band. So the drinking age was 18 in Canada. All the clubs it was 18 to get in. 16 they let you in. You just can't drink. So it was a lot different culture. It was a lot more laid back. So spent a lot of time partying when I wasn't working, running around.
How did you end up in a fight? Because
we were walking down Main Street. We had missed the last bus. It was like 2 a.m. And this big Indian was coming down the sidewalk, like staggering side to side. And me and Sherry were walking holding hands, and he walks right he ends up between us and breaks her handhold. And she's like, oh, I hurt my hand. She's wearing a bunch of rings. So I stop and tell him, hey, watch where you're going. And he says something to me, and I say something to him, and next thing you know, we're fighting. I don't even remember who threw the first punch. We started fighting, right?
But after that fight, your girlfriend's mother didn't want you to stay here anymore, right?
Yeah, she found out about the charges, so you're going to have to go home. They want you to come home and face the music. They had put me in jail for the night. I got out that morning. They let me go. I went to her mom's house, and they were telling me, we'll talk to your parents. You're going to have to make arrangements. And then Canadian Immigration showed up at the house. I was in the kitchen making a salmon. She had a pressure-cooked salmon because her father salmon fished in the Puget Sound. I was in the kitchen making a salmon and mayonnaise sandwich, and I heard car doors. I look out the window, there's like 4 or 5 cars that look like plain wrapper police cars with no lights or anything. So, oh no, and I run out the back door. And they caught me in midair when I came flying off like 5 steps. There was Canadian Immigration agents all around the house. They snatched me up and arrested me and said, hey, you're wanted. We were told to take you into custody. So they took me down to the docks and put me on a helicopter and flew me to Vancouver, to the mainland, to appear before, I guess, his Royal Magistracy Court or something to that effect. With the judge wears wig and everything like England, hear ye, hear ye. It was like something out of a movie. I I was just flabbergasted. I was like, wow. So her mom got a barrister, and they said, we release him to you. He has 2 weeks to leave the country. So then I went across and went to Seattle airport, and then I called my mom when she tells me I called her and said, I'm coming to face the music. So what's the lawyer talking about? You know, the parents said they were going to get a lawyer, and then said, they told me don't bother. She said, they called me and told me don't bother coming to the airport to pick you up. They're going to be there to arrest you. There's no bond. There's no deal. They still want to try you as an adult. I'm like, well, I'm not coming then, Mom. I'm going to keep running then. She said, I understand. I changed the flight to California.
Your mother was okay with that.
Well, she knew me. She knew that I wasn't going to listen at that point. She told me, she said, you come and they're going to arrest you and put you in jail. I said, no, I'm not coming then.
You were okay to live in the street to try not to get caught by the police?
Yeah, I went to California. I went down to Long Beach, where all the runaways always end up, and bought a sheet of acid, started selling acid for $5 a hit. And by the end of the day, I had like $150. So I was good in California for, I don't know, a month or two. I just stayed 2 months. And a guy that I met that I was hanging out with, he told me he hitchhiked from Florida, and that his uncle had deep sea fishing boats out in Key West, and we could have jobs. It's like, hey, I've always wanted to go there. Let's go. Just on a whim, you know. So I had like $85 cash, some food, a loaf of bread, a jar of peanut butter, a gallon of water, and a gym bag. And we hitchhiked all the way out to the edge of, I guess, what is the last city before you head to Palm Springs, out that way on I-10. And it says next rest, next stop, next water, next food, gas. It's like 100 miles in Yuma, Arizona. And it's like the edge of the desert. And we're at a truck stop out there, and we can't get another ride. We're standing out there all day with our thumbs on the on-ramp, and we're sunburned. Nobody would pick us up. And we're two males, like almost 6 foot tall, pretty big guys, and nobody's going to pick us up. We didn't realize it at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So
you went on a train, right?
Yeah, we went back around behind the truck stop, sitting in the shade, and we ran into a couple of hobos that ride the train, and they told us, hey, you know, go buy some hot dogs. We can grill them over the hobo fire in the hobo camp, and we'll teach you how to ride the train. So we get a 6-pack of beer and some hot dogs, and we went and sat back with the fire with them all night, grilling hot dogs on sticks and drinking beer. And they told us how to ride the train, when to get off, when to get on, give us a little lesson, right? We got up in the morning and they were gone. We were lucky we still had our money and our stuff on us. I mean, they could have robbed us.
So they taught you how to jump on the train, right?
We did. And we rode all the way across the desert through Yuma, all the way to Tucson.
Mm-hmm.
And the train was going so fast, it went right into the train yard. And we're supposed to get off before it goes into the train yard because immigration's going to search it.
Mm-hmm.
So we ride into the train yard, and all of a sudden there's lights and hear dogs barking, and helicopter comes out, and they're searching the train, and we're hiding up on top of it. We climbed up the ladder and got on top, and maybe they won't see us. And they climb up the ladder and like, come on down. They're telling us in Spanish. I'm like, hey, we're American, don't shoot. I'm like, come on down. What are you kids doing up here? Say, we were just riding the train from the next city to the next city. We didn't tell them. I didn't tell them I was wanted.
Yeah.
They told us, look, we're immigration. We don't care about y'all, man. We notified Tucson police. Go on, get out of here. You got a chance. You might make it. We tell the police, we're not going to mess with you. Go ahead. Take off. If you make it, you make it. The cops are going to be looking for you probably. We made it about 10, 15 blocks into the neighborhood. We cut a couple corners, took a few different streets, and we felt safe when we started walking. It's dark. It's a nice suburban neighborhood. All of a sudden, female cop in a patrol car, she crept right up behind us with no lights on. Woo!
They found you.
Oh, man. Surprised us, right? And apparently when I was in Canada, they had put my ID inside the liner in my wallet, and I didn't even know it was there. So they were thinking I would get caught at the border with no ID in case I was trying to do something else. They knew I was probably going to run, I think. I didn't know it was in there. I missed that one. So she's searching, I'll tell you over my brother's name. She's searching through my wallet. She says, I thought you told me your name was Steve. She says, it says here you're Charles. She said, you got 5 felony warrants in Colorado. Should I take you into custody? I'm like, oh man, this sucks. So I knew I was done at that point. So I gave my friend, I gave him the $85 I had and the food and the water and said, wish you luck, man.
They took you to the airport to fly you back to Colorado, and what happened there?
Went to the airport and I basically talked to the man about, he said, I have to put you on the plane, click the seatbelt and everything. And I was like, he had me in leg irons. I'm like, come on, man, I'm a kid. This is embarrassing. And he says, I'll take it off. We get to the plane. I'm like, can I just get on the plane? I just ran away. I'm just a runaway kid, right? I miss my dog. He's like, come on, man. You serious? He didn't know what I was there for. He didn't know that I had 5 felony warrants and was being tried as an adult. He thought I was just a kid that ran away from home. So I kind of manipulated him. And he says, well, go ahead and get on the plane. I'll just stand here and watch. So he stood at the concourse. And the movable concourse that connects to the plane, and they always have a dog leg in them, right? I went around the corner and I stopped. And there's a window and I'm watching him. He's in the windows up in the concourse waiting for the plane to leave. And the stewardess sees me there all the way up to the point where she's getting ready to close the door on the plane. She says, are you going to fly today? You need to board the plane. I was like, no, I was waiting on my grandma. She's not here. I'm sorry. She said, you need to go back inside. I said, all right. And I went around the corner where she couldn't see me. They closed the door and the plane left. And I watched him walk off.
So you tried to escape the airport after that?
I basically did. I committed a federal offense. I didn't even realize that what I was doing.
Because escaping an airport is a...
It's a federal offense.
Okay.
Yes, if you escape custody in an airport, you're on federal property. So
they caught you?
Wow. Yeah, when I came back, I waited about 10 minutes, and the ticket check-in counter right there by the door where you go to get on the plane, the lady was still there. When I came back through that door, she's like, excuse me, sir. She knew who that guy was, and she knew that I was a juvenile prisoner. And I turn around, and she's on the phone. So the concourse goes up and down like hills. So I went over like 2 of the hills where you couldn't really see me, and I get lost in the crowd. And I went into a bathroom, and I changed from a light-colored shirt and dark jeans to a dark shirt and like some stone acid wash light-colored jeans. And I wet my hair and combed it to the side, and I put the shoulder strap on my gym bag that I was carrying and made it a shoulder bag. I changed my whole appearance. And I came out the bathroom, and I'm making straight for the taxi line where all the taxis pull up in the main entrance of the airport. I think I got about 20 feet from the door, and somebody said, there he is, that's him. And there was people sitting there with newspaper, but they were undercover cops. They were sitting there waiting for me, and everybody jumped up and tackled me. So, oh my goodness. It surprised me. Yeah, they took me to the airport jail and said, you're in big trouble now, young man. You just escaped in an airport. That's federal. I said, hey, they could put it on top to 25. I don't even care anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're back in Colorado and you got sentenced, but the judge was not too harsh on you, right?
Yeah. He cut me some slack. He actually he made him bring me before him, and he asked me, what's going on to you? You keep trying to run. And he says, I understand it's pretty serious. And, the charges are serious, young man, but you're going to end up getting killed or hurt yourself or hurt somebody else. I haven't hurt anybody, but I'm not going to accept that. I'm not willing to go willingly to let y'all throw away the rest of my life. And he says to the prosecutor, y'all need to get with the lawyer. You need to make him some kind of a deal, which is uncommon for judges to do that. So the prosecutor and my attorney met, and then they come back about an hour later and said, okay, they're going to give you juvenile time, 1 mandatory year, not to exceed 2 years. You sign for it. You're going to serve the whole 2 years till you're 18. I said, where's the pen?
Yeah.
So I signed for it. I went to Colorado Lookout Mountain School for Boys. It's right above the Coors Brewery in Golden, Colorado. It's an old military base, Lookout Mountain. And it's all military barracks with the old dome buildings. It just looks just like this prison. It has double fences all the way around over razor wire. There was kids in there for killing their parents, raping their sisters, and just murder and all kinds of crazy stuff. We were in dormitory setting. While I was there, I went to vocational food services and trained under a chef, learned how to work in a kitchen, and I learned a trade.
So you stayed there 2 years. So you got out at 18. So we could think that from there, it's a new beginning for you. But unfortunately, you're going to dive deeper into drugs, right?
Yes, a few years later, yes. When I got out at 18, I went to work. I ended up getting out on my own. I met my then girlfriend, who's later becomes my wife and the mother of my children. And from 1988, when I got out, to 1998, when this case happened, I didn't have any serious trouble with the law. I had a lot of problems with drugs. I had a DUI in 95. That was a big turning point in my life. At that point, I was hooked on methamphetamine. I was drinking like a fish. And that one day, I lost my job, lost house, wife, everything, family. She moved back home.
You got married. How many kids did you have?
2
Two
sons.
kids.
I have a daughter and a son.
When were they born?
91 and 93.
Okay.
93 or 94, 2 or 94.
At some point, you will decide to go to Mexico. How did that happen?
I left Colorado in spring break 95. I had separated from the wife, and there was no fixing this one. I knew it was over. I was strung out, hooked on meth real bad. So I knew from what limited classes and counseling, group sessions that I took in juvenile, they teach you the basics. You have to get away from the drug in order to quit doing it. And most people go to rehab. So I was like, well, I know I need to change. I was out of control. So I ended up dead or in prison. So I said, let me go to Mexico on vacation, go down there and drink it out of my system. So I got away from it. I went to Mazatlan, and I stayed down there for a year, surfing and fishing every day, and it was just like one big vacation.
But you were still on drugs?
Smoking weed and drinking beer and tequila, that's it.
Did you manage to stop drugs at that point?
I did some cocaine, but there was no meth down there back then. It's not like it is now. Most of it comes through there now. But then it was unheard of in Mexico in 95.
So you thought it would help you to go to Mexico?
Yeah, I was 25 years old. I'd never had a vacation as a working man, and I was like, you know what? I need a break. I was trying to get my life in order. I just trying to find myself, figure out what I wanted to do. But I knew I had to get away from the map.
But unfortunately, things will get worse over there.
Yeah, I came back to Arizona in 96, and I ended up meeting a friend of a friend's uncle in a bar, and I was offered a job smuggling aliens across the border.
That's something you did. How long did you do that?
11 months, almost a year.
That's crazy, because you wanted more money for your drugs, or?
Yeah, I got back on meth again. And this time I got worse than I'd ever been. I started shooting it, and that was terrible. And that's a bad stud. So I probably bought 450, 500 people in the country in 11 months. I was making tens of thousands of dollars a week, and it didn't mean anything to me. I spent all my time in drug dealers' couch in his living room buying his drugs and doing them, or in the bar. Just all my friends were drug addicts. But as soon as I ran out of money, when Bill Clinton closed the border in the end of 96 after McVeigh, he shut down the border in November of 1996, right before Thanksgiving. And the boss told me there's no work, the border's closed. Come back in the middle of January, borrow some money. There was no more free place to stay, no more friends, no more money, no more drugs. And you find out real quick, you're on your own. So something that I have learned in faith-based programs and the classes that I took is you have to hit rock bottom before you really want to change. My rock bottom came a few weeks later, right after Thanksgiving. I had been arrested for shoplifting. I was going to the grocery store and putting bottles of liquor in the grocery cart, and some Tide laundry and some wood chips and some other stuff you don't have to bag. And I take it over by the greeting card section and set it there. And then I take a lap around the store and make sure nobody was watching me. And then I go and push it right out the door.
And you got arrested for that?
I got away with it several times and then I got caught. I
Wow.
was selling it to the drug dealer. They would buy they always, of course, drug dealers need laundry soap too, right? And the booze they would always buy. So I ended up blowing the motor of my car. I was down in the projects of downtown Phoenix going dope. I blew the motor in my car and it's like, you've hit rock bottom. You got no more wheels, no more money. We're strung out on dough. So I called my mom, 1-800-COLLECT. She said, you ready to change? I said, yeah, I'm ready to come home and change. I was starting over with clothes on my back.
So you were ready to go back to Texas for a new life, but I thought you had been arrested by the
Yes, I had.
Border Patrol.
Yeah, I had been arrested, alien smuggling. I got blessed. I beat it on a technicality. I did a lot of praying that weekend.
Yes.
I got caught with 17 undocumented illegal aliens when it's 2 to 10 years per person.
Wow.
It's a minimum 34 years Fed time. That's a life sentence.
That's crazy.
And I got beaten on a technicality because I wasn't driving when they actually made the stop. Got the agent to say that on the stand.
What were you doing? You were not driving.
I was driving. I was smuggling, and I had the guy that worked with me was in the passenger seat, and the truck was in his name. And the deal was, if we get pulled over, you're getting over here, and I'm getting in the passenger seat.
Okay.
So we did that while they were in the process of pulling us over.
Okay.
And they knew. They tried to get me to admit it. They put a gun on my chin and says, we know who you are. Tell us who you work for. We've been surveilling you for weeks. They had the anti-smuggling task force, the Shadow Wolves. They're Native American Indians customs agents. They're the elite anti-smuggling task force out on the Indian reservation. Tohoto, I think it is. It's on by south of Casa Grande, Sells, Arizona. They had an Indian with the telephone pole climbing rig, like the telephone repairman uses to come, had climbing sequoia cactus with the telephone pole climbing rig. He would ride a motorcycle and he'd follow us out there and he'd climb the cactus and he was taking pictures of us. Well, that's how they knew who I was. So we got pictures of you. We know who you are. This is our truck now. Thank you. We're going to be using it and driving it every day. I said, hey, it's not my truck. I don't care. It's in his name, you know?
So you realized that you were in trouble. So you decide to start a new life in Texas.
Yes, I came home and started over. First I worked for Subway, then I got a job working for a moving company.
But you're still on drugs, right?
Smoking weed and drinking at the bar, and that's about it.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't get on the cocaine till 98.
Let's jump to 1997. You're 27. You meet Denise and you fall in love. She's 10 years older than you. She has a young son. You are both alcoholics and spend a lot of time in bars. And you are also on drugs, but you try to hide it from her, right?
Because she left her husband for that reason, her son's father.
And sometimes you're violent with her. And at that time, you both live north of Houston. And tell us, what were you doing? What was your occupation then?
No, I had left. I had worked as Subway manager and then moving company and then ADT Alarm Systems. The end of 97, we had a recession going on, Christmas of 97. Couldn't sell any alarms. I went back to the moving company again. I tried different jobs several times, but the moving company was always like a fallback. I knew they'll let you come back to work. I left on good terms. So she's like, I understand you're trying to move on. This job's not meant for a lifetime. It's just one of those jobs you work it for a year or so to get on your feet while you're looking for something else. It's hard physical labor.
About a year after you meet Denise, you realize that she's dating someone else. Darren is his name.
I found out right the weekend before this happened. I found out about Darren. She told me I had just started a new job 2 weeks before this happened as a swimming pool salesman for custom designed swimming pools. And I had the gentleman, my sales manager, come and testify. He has his own company now. He came and testified in my retrial in 2005. And the first year, pool salesman made anywhere from 85 to 100,000 a year, first year. And the district attorney couldn't believe it. He's like, oh, this is outrageous. No way he had a job making that much money. I got tax records of all my new hires. I can show you. So yeah, I was trying to move on to something better. And Felice, she knew that I was out with my boss in Clear Lake on the boat. But in her mind, I was out there with girls in bikinis having fun because I'm younger. But what it was my boss, he testified at the time about us doing cocaine and how bad I was on it and how my whole demeanor changed. We were out on the boat with cocaine, syringe, marijuana, whiskey, and beer, fishing and getting messed up. There was no girls on the boat. There was 3 guys.
So you're with her. Sometimes you split. Sometimes you're back together.
And we split up a couple times, but we always came back together.
And let's talk about what happened that night. You go to her house and you end up in a fight with Darren.
I was with her that night at the bar. We had made up the day before. She told me that she slept with the bartender that weekend to get back at me because I stood her up. We were supposed to go to Crawfish Festival that weekend, and I stood her up and didn't show up 2 times. Made her really mad. We had talked on the phone Monday, Tuesday, and cooled off. And Wednesday night, I went to her place. I got there before her, let myself in with the key. Because I moved her in there, I pretty much stayed there 6 nights a week. I had my own house about 2 miles away. And she came home from work. We talked. She had a beer. She got ready to go to the bar like we always did on Wednesday night. We went to the bar together for steak and potato night, $5 for ribeye, a baked potato. And the bartender, Missy, and my friend Will testified in my trial. We were the same happy couple sitting in the bar like we did every Wednesday night, playing darts, shooting pool, and close the bar like we always did. We go home. We stop at Whataburger, get some food. 3 o'clock in the morning, we come into our house and the phone's ringing and it's Darren. He comes over, we fight. The police come, they break it up. I'm drunk. They don't ever test me to see if I'm drunk. You can tell I'm drunk. I'm walking like this. When they tell me go get in your car and leave, I can't even walk straight. They let me drive up. I come back in the morning to get my sales book with all the pictures of the pools, and he's there.
And you found out he's there?
Yeah, I had called from the gas station on Loretta and Champions. I called and told her I'm coming. I have to get my work stuff. She asked me not to. She's trying to sleep. I asked her, is he there? She said, no, I'm trying to sleep. I said, I'll be there in a few minutes, and I hung up. To this day, nobody's even gone to talk to the clerk at the gas station. Nobody ever got the phone records to verify. Who calls somebody and tells them they're coming over to do something to them? And it doesn't make any sense.
And when you come back, you discover he's in her bed.
Yes.
And you shoot him at some point.
No, we fought.
You fought.
Fight.
Yeah, you didn't come to shoot him. That's what you want to say?
No, there was no intent.
Yes.
The argument started when I went into the house and she's in bed. I didn't even see him. I started getting my clothes out of the dresser and she woke up and said something to me and I said, oh, I seen him. I said, oh, that's just great. I see you. And I got my stuff and I went down the hall, down into to the kitchen area, and I'm getting my sales book and the rest of my drafting tools. And I'm about to leave and he comes out with her. He's telling me you need to leave, you need to do this, do that. Yeah, this has nothing to do with you. So we argued and then we fought. And the rest.
Yeah. You shot him, unfortunately, and
I got shot too.
He shot you too?
Or
you shot yourself? What happened?
I got shot fighting him off me. Right here.
That same night?
Yeah. I went right through my arm. Right.
He shot you or you shot yourself by mistake? Or
He was trying to shoot me.
okay, with your gun.
Yeah. He kept pulling. He tried to take my head off a couple times. And I ended up shooting myself in the arm trying to get him off me.
Well, you shoot him dead. And unfortunately, Denise is...
She's in the middle of it trying to stop us and she gets shot.
So what you're gonna do is call 911.
Yes,
You cannot reach out to them.
I watch him run right over her to the door, and that's what they told me I couldn't have self-defense because I shot him from behind. Which, I mean, in this situation, you're still pulling the trigger when the gun's empty. You're in panic mode. You're fighting for your life. I run to the phone. I pick it up. I dial 911, and I'm like, "What are you going to say to him?" And I throw the phone on the counter. But I guess the call didn't go through. They said the phone was still off the hook, but the call never went through. I run. I leave. I'm freaking out.
So you went to a friend's house, and Denise died at the hospital a week later,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah, they waited 8 hours to take her in surgery. And they suffocated her pre-surgery, which made her brain dead. They brought her back to life, and they couldn't get any brain activity. So yeah, she died a week later. She had been off life support for 4 days. She had nothing but an IV, and she passed away.
So you turned your
7th, they said.
May 7th. So you turned yourself in,
Yes.
and one of the reasons you got in so much trouble is that the police hired someone, an undercover officer,
Yes.
and you told that officer to kill a witness, the friend you had gone to after the fight, and
Yeah.
and she was ready to testify against you, right?
Right.
And you told
The tape recording, yes.
and you told this guy to kill her. Why were you scared of her?
What I was trying to do was get her to tell the truth. I didn't have any idea that this man was going to try to kill her. He sprang that on me. They set me up and tell me, "You go talk to my friend. He's going to go talk to the witness. He's going to tell her to go on vacation. He's going to intimidate her." It was witness tampering. That's what it was started out as.
You didn't want to kill her?
He sprang that on me while he was tape recording me. He set me up. It was entrapment. That's why it was thrown out. The first thing he asked me on the tape is, "Hey, where did you throw that?" So I'm like, wow, this doesn't even sound right. Why are you asking about that? Because they were trying to find it. And that's why I got thrown out. So the whole thing was orchestrated by them. They wanted to gain evidence, and they wanted to create future threat to society evidence so they could send me to death row.
So what you mean is that you didn't want him to kill that witness?
I didn't go in there with that intention, no.
So this tape recording had a big influence on the jury.
It had my case reversed too.
Yes.
Yes.
So they sentenced you to death, and after there was another decision saying that we need to redo the sentencing phase because the jury should not have heard this audio, and they sentenced you again to death, right?
Yes.
And that day, we're in 2005. What did you do at the court?
3 days later, I walked out of the jail.
You managed to escape.
Yes.
How can you even?
Everybody's baffled how I did it.
Everybody's wondering how you did that.
Yeah. Well, the main thing was having a key to get out of the handcuffs.
How did you get that key?
That you would have to take to my grave.
You don't want to say it?
Tell anybody that.
Did somebody help you?
No. I work alone.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
I worked alone. So I had brought my clothes from court. I went to where you go to change back into the jail orange. I take the shirt and I put it in the folder. I put the orange pants on right over the dockers. And I put the orange shirt on and I tell the deputy I'm ready to go. And they take me right to my cell with the clothes. I had a prison ID that I took down there with me. So I used the prison ID. I went to a legal visit, and they didn't lock me in the booth in the hallway, in the main hallway, on the second floor. And I had been downstairs to see how everybody comes and goes, or the visitors come and go. And so
You also had a badge you showed?
didn't tell them I was internal affairs.
So you had a fake badge, right?
Yeah, I had a fake. It was an ID that covered the word offender. And it's official state ID now. They had never seen one because they keep them in booking when prisoners come down there. So most deputies have never seen one unless they work booking. So I talked the talk and I walked the walk. I was role playing. I was in character. And I don't have any tattoos, so I fit the bill. And they were like, okay, well, how come you didn't get a visitor's tag? And I don't need one. And internal affairs. And I'm like, oh, okay. They just want to get rid of you when you tell them you're internal affairs. No law enforcement anywhere in the world likes internal affairs. Nobody does. That's in every language. Nobody likes internal affairs. So they're like, let's get this guy out of here quickly. So I told the guy, the sergeant, he asked me how'd you get in? I came through the other jail, through the tunnel. What are you doing? I was looking for an informant. Y'all let him go. I'm going to meet with my partner. I will note your cooperation in my report, Sergeant. And I cited his badge number to him. And he said, okay, you're free to go. I told him, thank you. It was that easy. I turned around and walked down.
So
They were like, that was like at 3:00 in the afternoon. They didn't realize I was gone till like 5:30 at night. I was already at 610 the Loop and 59 off Cavalcade where the train stopped, making some phone calls, bum a cigarette off somebody. As the train stopped, I had no more. I was like, let me go into the 5th Ward neighborhood and see. It was right off 90 and right there by 59 and 610.
so you jumped
That's
in a
actually
train.
where I hid till sundown, was right underneath 59 and 610 where the freeways cross each other. I was right there underneath it where the train tracks are.
So you jumped in a train.
And got a second train from there and rode it all the way to Louisiana.
You got caught because you were in front of a liquor store, drunk, and calling your friends from a phone.
Alcoholism was my downfall, huh? I called my girlfriend in Australia. I was trying to get her to wire me some money because I didn't want to commit any crimes. I didn't want to draw any attention to myself. But it's hard to travel with no money. It took me 4 days to go 250 miles on a train. It's not a very efficient way to travel. When I got a shower at the paper mill before I made the phone call, I got cleaned up and I had clean clothes. Before that, I had grease streaks all over my arms from climbing up and down on the trains. And I just decided I didn't want to ride the train anymore.
But they arrested you because you were drunk?
No, I probably would have got arrested if I had been sober because I was gonna call her back to get some money wired to me on Western Union.
Because they were waiting for you to call her,
When I
right?
called her back, they had already traced it to Shreveport area code. When I called back, they told me they had teams set up on every side of town. And as soon as they traced the second call, they came like 6 cars, 25 agents. I was on the phone with her. She kept me on the phone like 7 minutes. And like the first time I was like, 2 minutes, that's all I can talk to them. You see in the movies, 2 minutes, they could trace the call.
She knew?
She got the reward. So I was on the phone with her when I heard the tire bark. I turned around and there's 5 Ford Tauruses and everybody's drawing their guns. Get out. Get out on the ground. You're not killing me. And stuff my arms in the air. I made them come over and put me on the ground and arrest me. I was disgusted with myself just thinking about coming back to this place. More disgusted than I was with the first and second death sentence verdict combined, knowing that I was coming back to this dungeon.
Since then, you haven't made the headlines. That was 20 years ago.
Yeah, I've changed. I'm older now, a little wiser, not so rebellious anymore. Like I said earlier, I've been in faith-based programs for 2 years. Took anger management, authentic manhood. Bridges to Life teaches you about what the victims go through, puts you in their shoes, and helps you understand what you did to the people. That's why in 2018, I asked him to forgive me. And the Wades wouldn't in 2018, but Mike did. But Dan Walker went and interviewed him early this year, and he actually said that he understands that my execution wouldn't bring him closure, that he could accept me getting life without parole.
Can you say who he is?
Wade, our son.
And the other person you mentioned?
Our brother Mike, he said he forgave me in 2018. We used to party together. He knew me. Yeah. The Kane family surprised me. They had said that they didn't want to see me get the death penalty, but they were at the hearing when I got the execution date. That shocked everybody. So we believed them when they said they didn't. In the retrial, they said they didn't want to see me get the death penalty.
And today, what is your main point saying that you shouldn't be on death row you don't deserve the death penalty? Is it because Denise didn't die just after you shot her, but a week later?
There was no intent. There was no motive. And like I said, nobody's ever been to talk to the store clerk that I stopped, pumped $5 in gas. I made a phone call, and he could hear me arguing with her. I walked over, took off my sunglasses to pull out my money and find a $5 bill. And he said, "Oh, your eye, it looks very, very painful." This Indian guy. I said, "Yeah, it hurts real bad." He gave me the $5. He was out there washing the sidewalk. Nobody's even gone to talk to the guy or track him down. Who makes a phone call to somebody at sunup on Thursday morning and was going to drive into a complex where 1,000 people live at Psych Apartments and do something like this intentionally? There was no intent. I had no motive or intent to do anything to them but go get my work stuff. What we were arguing about on the phone at the gas station, I was telling her, I have to go turn in the pool that I just designed, and I'm probably going to lose my job. I have a black eye. I can't go to the suburbs and sell $30,000 swimming pool with a big black eye. And she said, "Whose fault is that? I don't want to fight. I'll be there in a minute." I hung up.
You hang up, but you think...
When he's there. But the police said that we were both leaving. I didn't think he was there, but I did ask her before I went. She said, "He's not here. I'm trying to sleep." I said, "I gotta come get my work stuff. I'll be there in a minute." She didn't get out of bed because she knew I had a key.
So you think if you had been able to prove that there was no intent to kill this man, you would not be here on death row today?
If the hospital hadn't suffocated her to death, I wouldn't be here. But let's think about this. What if I had died and he had lived? Would he be sitting here? Would they have prosecuted him for her death and my death? Would he be sitting here while I am?
I don't think so.
I don't know, because I was there with her that night, and he came seeking to take my place in her bed. It's what they call a crime of passion. The gentleman, I didn't ever wish him any ill will. We fought. The police came and separated it. They asked me, "You want to press charges?" I said, "No." They asked him, "You all right?" He said, "Oh." They knew him from the bar. They were bros, and "What's up, man?" And they put me in cuffs and put me in the car. They were handshaking with him and hugging him. Say, "Hey, we fought. It's over." That was that. Yeah, the thing about the hospital is they were sued for wrongful death, but they hired super lawyer Sam Houston represented the hospital. They took it to jury trial and said, "There's a man on death row for this." And the civil jury said, "Oh, okay, well, we can't find the doctors at fault then." I think they didn't have all the evidence. I had a Fort Worth medical examiner, Dr. White, reviewed the autopsy, said that it was incorrect cause of death, it was incomplete autopsy, that it should have been medical misadventure by human error, that it shouldn't have said gunshot by homicide. There's petechial hemorrhaging in the eyes, evidence of suffocation. Her brain was swollen and weighed 3 pounds more than it ever should have weighed. It's all evidence of suffocation. That's what killed her.
And you think it would change, you wouldn't be here if you had been able to prove this?
I think that it had bearing on the case, that it might have been a deciding factor if they were even going to seek the death penalty or not.
I understand.
But I was charged with manslaughter on him and aggravated assault on her until the hospital suffocated her and made her brain dead pre-surgery before they ever even operated on her. And this is 8 hours after she went to the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
She sat up writing notes and answering questions for 8 hours before they even took her into surgery. That and the fact that there is some self-defense issues. There's a knife laying there in the photographs. So they've never tested it. Nobody's ever looked at my theory about the fact that we were fighting and she got in the middle of it. Obviously, somebody had the knife.
Today, do you still have relations with your parents? And you also have two brothers, a younger one and an older one. Tell us about your relation with them today.
Older brother's like the black sheep of the family. He's wanted by the law right now. He's on his way back to prison for a 7th time. The one that corrupted me when I was young, he's never learned. He's never going to change. He's a bad egg. Younger brother he's still living at home. He's moved out in and out a few times to try some different careers. But unfortunately, he just got diagnosed with cancer. I'm about to find out what kind of cancer this afternoon.
I'm sorry.
And I think it's lymphoma. I feel bad for my mother right now and father. They're going through a lot.
But do they come and visit you?
Yes, they come up here for like major holidays, birthday.
And do you talk to them on the phone?
Yes, I call them every week.
Mm.
Try to keep the cost down. We'll call once a week, 30 minutes.
And how do they feel about your situation? And
they're devastated. They know that I'm still fighting my case. I just got new lawyers, private investigators working on things. There's a lot of things that weren't done in the second trial that should have been done. The background investigation and mitigations, none of it was done properly. My mom and dad should have testified in the sentencing phase. That's part of when you do a punishment phase in the capital case, you always put the parents on the stand. They didn't even get to testify. The lawyer they were not ready for trial when we went in 2005. We asked for continuance the morning of trial. The judge said no.
Today you got an execution date in 3 months.
I have 91 days to go.
How do you feel about this? And do you feel that you can still be saved? You still have hope?
Yes. Hope is always alive. Hope is a good thing. I think it's in God's hands, and I believe that I'll get a stay, Lord willing. And if not, I'm at peace. I've been walking in my faith for years now, and I feel that if you're right with the Lord and you know you're going to eternal salvation, to a better place, what's to fear? Death is a journey we all make. So whatever his will is, that's what's going to happen.
Some people say that life imprisonment is worse than death row. Do you think it's true?
In Texas, yeah. 110-degree heat, suffering out there in a sauna. 6 months out of the year, you're roasting, you're miserable. Smells like a gem locker, full of stinky men. And yeah, I mean, it's just a slow pain. No, it is a slow death. You stay out there until you're 70, 80 years old, and they put you in the nursing home prison unit where you're using the walker, and that's no way to live. Prison, in Texas, with the heat and everything, it's a bad situation. It's existing. It's not living. It's just existing.
I understand. So our time is finishing. Do you want to add something real quick before they take you out of here?
Yeah, I would like to say to the public, to the victims' friends, the ones that showed up to the court date for the hearing, it surprised me that all these people took off from work to come see me get an execution day. But I don't hold any ill will towards any of them. I don't wish anybody any bad. I hope that these people can find forgiveness in their heart and begin to heal and move past it. For 27 years, they wished me dead. It was kind of a shocker to me and my attorneys to see 18 people show up on 9/11, 8 o'clock on Thursday morning to see me get an execution day. It's like, wow. That's not healthy. It's not good for the heart. So, yeah, I wish them all well.
Thank you so much for sharing your story. Thank you very much.
You have a good day. I appreciate y'all coming. I'm looking forward to hearing from you again.
Yes. Well, thank you, and good luck. Good luck to you. Okay.
And I will be happy to answer any questions we can have. Just write me.
Yes. But thank you so much for your trust. I didn't have time to ask Charles if he was still in touch with his children. So I wrote him an email, and he answered that he remains in touch with his daughter, but that his son doesn't answer his letters. About a year ago, I interviewed Pamela Perio. Her story is fascinating. This interview was released in 5 parts. It's pretty long, but it's really interesting. And I also encourage you to watch my interview with Anthony Graves.
Just went and laid back in my bunk, and I just let tears roll down my face, and I just pumped my fist. Because I knew this was the moment. This was the moment that God prepared me for.
also watch my interview with Perry Cobb.
The whole thing against me was all white. The cell all by itself. I could reach and touch wall to wall when I stretched my hands out like that. And it's worse than any cell that the animals have at the zoo. And they tried to kill me. They destroyed me and my family ties. They destroyed my career.
And can you forgive them one day? It's hard to believe what happened to these people. Please continue to share, to follow, to drop a comment, to rate. All these actions really help other people find the show. Thank you.
He ran from the law, from the pain, from the truth in his veins. Left blood in the story, now he's locked in the chains. He sees their faces at night, yeah, the guilt never fades. 27 years in the dark, trying to balance what he made. Now it's one breath, one day, one step on the line. Death row in his shadow, but he's still staying alive. He can't change what he did, but he's fighting for time. Cause surviving ain't hope, man, it's a state of mind.